Um, Hello, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prince Nwachinemere. I hope I pronounced your name very well. If we are ready for today's class, I would just like you to say, we are ready. Good afternoon. We are ready. Good afternoon. Leave that place. Leave that place. Okay, Prince, I can see that you're ready. Welcome. You're ready for today's class. I'm glad to hear that. My name is Mrs. Alabi, and I'm going to be the one taking today's class. I'm a teacher too, so I hope we enjoy ourselves today and learn. As we all know, today is June 5th, and every June 5th, we celebrate World Environment Day. World Environment Day. So today is World Environment Day. World Environment Day. Today is World Environment Day, and we're going to be learning about how to restore our ecosystem. The theme for this year's World Environment Day is restoring the ecosystem. That's the theme for that is the theme for this year's World Environment Day. Can we all see my screen? I hope we can see my screen. Ogundele Ademilade, you're welcome. You're welcome to today's class. I'd like to share with me in the chat box what you can see on your screen. Share with me on the chat box what you can see on your screen. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I need your participation in this class. I don't just want to do the talking. I need you all to participate in today's class. As we all know that today is June 5th, and June 5th of every year in the world, we celebrate World Environment Day. World Environment Day. So I just shared something on my screen not quite long, and I would love you to respond in the chat box what you can see on your screen, what you were able to see on your screen then. Share with me on the chat box. Okay. Prince Nwanchinemerem, you said you saw a description which read Happy Environment Day. Okay, let's wish ourselves Happy Environment Day. Happy Environment Day, everyone. Ogundele Ademilade, I'm waiting to hear from you. Ogundele Ademilade, I'm waiting to hear from you. Prince said he saw a description which read Happy Environment Day. The earth is like our home. The earth is like our home, and we must make effort to keep it clean and green. On the occasion of the World Environment Day, let us promise to make it a better place to live. Let us promise to make it a better place to live. If you heard what I just read out, not quite long, please, I need you to type in the chat box and tell me what you were able to pick from what I read out. It's part of what I showed the other time. The world is where the earth is where we live in. Our house is built on a land. We have our schools built on a particular land. When you are in the school, your school is your environment at that period. When you are in your house is your environment at that period. When you are in the market is your environment at that period. And when you are in the church or in the mosque, that is your environment at that period. And we need to keep our environment clean. There's a need for us to keep our environment clean. Hello, Prince, are you still there? Can you all hear me? I'm to switch off my camera. The network where is fluctuating. It is our responsibility to keep our surrounding clean and green, and we all must make the best of the effort to do so, to save our mother earth and live happily. We all need to save our Mother Earth and live happily. We can do so by separating our dirt. Daily, we make use of plastics, we make use of different kind of things. We drink water, we drink our Pepsi, our Coke, the pure water sachet that we are using. There's a need for us to keep our environment clean, and all of these can be recycled. So for us to keep our environment clean and ensure that I'm sure we can read the message in the chat box. Can we all see the message I sent to the chat box? There are activities that restore our ecosystem. The World Environment Day is being celebrated to restore our ecosystem, to keep our environment clean, for us to have a good life, for us to have a clean environment, for us to enjoy ourselves and live happy and live joyful. What are these activities that we can do as students, as a citizen of our country? What are the activities that we can carry out to restore our ecosystem and ensure that our environment is clean? You can just list them for me in the chat box. I'm waiting for your response in the chat box. I'm waiting to see your response in the chat box. I'm waiting for a response in the chat box. The activities that restore our ecosystem, our environment. As we all know, like I said earlier, that today is June 5th and we're celebrating the World Environment Day. We are celebrating the World Environment Day. We all have flowers in our compound, and if you don't have one, we all make use of plastics every day. Wow, thank you, Prince. One of the activities that promotes our ecosystem is the prevention of burning refuse or bushes. One of the activities that promotes our ecosystem is the prevention of burning refuse or bushes. We make use of refuse in our home every day, and the best way to keep our refuse is by separating them and sorting them out. You have where you keep your pure water nylon sachet, you have where you keep your bottles, like plastic bottles, you have where you keep your glass bottle, because each of these can be recycled. Each of these can be recycled, and presently there are organizations that when you keep each of these and they are able to measure up to some particular kilogram, they can give you some things in response. And there was something that was done by the Teampreneur Hub recently about keeping our environment clean. They got sand, they got plastic, and they melt the plastic, mixed it together with the sand, and they use it to make like a brick. In fact, it dropped on the floor several times and it didn't break. This can be used for interlocking. We can see how that it is cost effective. We are keeping our environment clean and we are not spending much. For those of us that have bushes around us, by the time you cut down this bush, please don't burn it. Please don't burn it. When you're burning this, you are polluting the environment. And let's ensure that we dispose our refuse properly. We need to dispose our refuse properly so that we can keep our environment clean and we can be happy every day. I'm sure we are not new to the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. It is not new to us. There are 17 of them. 17 of them. Number one of it is no poverty. We are not looking into that today, but looking at what I said earlier on, that the Teampreneur Hub did about recycling, about keeping our environment clean. The brick that was made, it's the cost effect is very low, and thereby we're saying no to poverty. For the celebration today, the aspect of the SDG goals that are addressed are SDG Goal 2, which is zero hunger. SDG Goal 2, which is zero hunger. And another aspect is sustainable city and community. Zero hunger. I'm sure if we have not eaten since morning, we won't be able to partake in this class. We won't be comfortable. And when we plant and we harvest, these are what we eat. The SDG 11, sustainable city and community. When we keep our environment clean, when we plant trees, and when we don't burn bushes around us, when we cut down the bush and we allow it to decay, it makes the soil to be fertile. When you cut down your bush and you allow it to decay, it makes the soil to be fertile, thereby promoting agriculture. We're saying no to hunger. We're saying yes, zero hunger is a reality. Sustainable cities and community is another aspect that we are addressing today in celebrating World Environment Day. Climate action. Climate action, which is SDG Goal 13. SDG 13, climate action. And the last one that we're looking at is partnership for the goals. It is our responsibility. It is not the responsibility of one person. Thank you, Prince. Another way is the reduction in use of chimney to export smokes. Wow, thank you for that. Thank you for that. We can see how that keeping our environment clean, not polluting the environment affects us. It affects us when our environment is clean. There's this kind of joy that we derive in. And there's a saying that cleanliness is next to godliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness. You can't say you are godly and you are not clean. You can't say you are godly and you are not clean. In celebrating the World Environment Day, there are several activities that we can carry out as students, whether in our house, in our schools. There are several activities we can carry out. One of the activities we can carry out is planting trees, planting flowers. As we all know that we are in the rainy season, we are in the rainy season, and now if you plant, the rain will really help it will really help. And when you do this, you're promoting the ecosystem. Sorry. We all know that plants breathe in. As we all know that plants breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out CO2. This CO2 is used by we human beings. We breathe it in and we breathe out carbon dioxide. The CO2 that the oxygen gas that plants breathe out is useful to us in our environment. And when we don't have plants in our environment, how do you think the environment is going to look like? That is why when it is hot inside, most people prefer to go under the tree where you have a tree in the compound, because the the plant, which is the tree, is breathing out oxygen which is needed by human being. We can see how important it is to us to plant trees in our environment. Plant a tree, plant flower, whatever it is that you can plant around you, ensure that you do this. The tree you plant, if it's a kind of tree that is bringing fruit, you are saying no to hunger by doing this. Like I have in my compound a garden. From my garden, I can get water leaf. From my garden, I can get bitter leaf. From my garden, yesterday to today's morning, I was able to get like 6 snail from my garden. You can see how that when our environment is green, when we plant, we enjoy it. When we plant to make our environment green, we enjoy it as human. The network is fluctuating with my camera on. That's why I had to switch it off. Please, I need our response. How do we, in our daily activity, ensure that our environment is clean, our environment is green? Like I said the other time, all of our waste, the best way to dispose them is to separate our waste. By separating them, you separate your plastic, you separate your pure water nylon, the black nylon, you separate it to ensure that each of these are recycled. It takes number of years for this pure water nylon and even the bottled water, the plastic bottle, to decay, which is affecting our climate change. This is affecting our climate change. Like we all know that our SDG Goal 13 talks about climate action. Climate action. For us to be able to enjoy our climate, we need to ensure that we dispose our waste properly. We need to ensure that we dispose our waste properly. And this is the responsibility of every one of us. It is not the responsibility of one person. SDG Goal 7 talks about partnership for the goals. Partnership for the goals. In celebrating World Environment Day, we need to partner together. We need to partner together. We need to partner together. SDG Goal 2, zero hunger. When we plant, like in this season, when you plant your corn, you would harvest it soon. When you plant your okra, you would harvest it and you will eat it and enjoy yourself. You can start today. If you haven't done anything of such, you can do yours today. If you have a garden in your compound, in your school, you can do this. Can we all see my screen? Can we all see my screen? I'm sure we all can see my screen. We can see the SDG goals. We can see the SDG goals. When you eat well, in fact, SDG goal 3 too is in line. When you eat well, you look healthy. You look healthy when you eat well. When we are able to say no hunger, zero hunger, when we are able to make it a reality as individual, collectively, we all live in good health and we look well. So the SDG goals that are in line with today's celebration, which is the World Environment Day, are SDG Goal 2. We have the SDG 2. I need somebody to type for me in the chat box what SDG Goal 2 is. What is SDG Goal 2? By the time we plant our corn, we plant our okra, and we harvest them, we eat them, we are not hungry. Another SDG goal that is in line with today's celebration is good health and well-being. When you are not hungry and you eat well, you are healthy. SDG goal 3. I need someone to type for me in the chat box what SDG goal 3 is. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. SDG goal 11 is another SDG goal that is in line of today's celebration. We are to resuscitate our ecosystem. Wherever you are at the moment is your environment, sustainable cities and community. When we plant trees, when we clean our environment and we dispose our refuse properly, we are creating a sustainable city and community. Where you are right now is your city. Where you are right now is your city, is your community. And when you keep it clean and when you make it green, you're sustaining your community, you're sustaining your city, you're sustaining your environment. Another SDG goal that is in line with today's celebration is SDG goal 13. SDG goal 13 is another goal that is in line with today's celebration, which is climate change. Climate change. Climate change is another SDG goal that is in line with today's celebration. Like I said earlier, June 5th of every year is World Environment Day. World Environment Day. How do we resuscitate our environment? We can resuscitate our environment by making it green. I'm sure you can see my screen now. You can see the SDG goals. You can see the SDG goals. And the last SDG goal that is in with the celebration today is partnership for the goals. Partnership for the goal. There's another SDG goal that is also in line, which is life on land. Life on land. Life on land is another SDG goal that is in line with today's celebration. Okay, Prince, if you can't see my screen, I'm sure you're familiar with the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm sure you're familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals. We have 17 of the goal. Number one is no poverty. Number two is zero hunger. Number three is good health and well-being. I start again. Number one is no poverty. Number one of the SDG goal is no poverty. Number two is zero hunger. And number three is good health and well-being. Good health and well-being. Number four is quality education. Quality education. And number five is gender equality. Gender equality. Number six, clean water and sanitation. Clean water and sanitation. Number seven, affordable and clean energy. Affordable and clean energy. Number eight, decent work and economic growth. Decent work and economic growth. Number nine is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Number 10 is reduced inequalities. Reduced inequalities. And number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. Sustainable cities and community. Number 12 is responsible consumption and production. Responsible consumption and production. Number 13, climate action. And number 14, life below water. Number 15, life on land. Number 16, peace, justice, and strong institution. Number 17, partnership for the goals. Partnership for the goals. Prince, I'm sure you can hear all I've read out. I'm sure you can hear all that I've listed. So the SDG goals that are in line with today's celebration are SDG goal 2, SDG goal 3, SDG goal 11, 13, 15, and 17. We all need to keep our environment green and clean, not just clean, but we need to keep it green. How do we keep it green? We can keep our environment clean. We can keep our environment green by planting trees, by planting flowers around, by planting food that we can eat, like maize, okra. We keep our environment green by planting, and we keep it clean by keeping the dirt, sweeping it, and sorting it out to be disposed properly. So, from all that we've learned today, how do we intend to implement, to carry out what we've learned today? Today being World Environment Day, how are you going to personally, as a person, as a citizen, how are you going to, as an SDG advocate, how are you going to implement what you have learned today? How do you want to put it into practice? What are the things that you have not been doing before to ensure that your environment is clean and green, that you are going to put into practice? I need you to write for me in the chat box. I'm waiting. I need you to write for me in the chat box the things that you're going to do at home, in school, whether you're in the church or you're in the market or you're in the mosque, what you will be doing to ensure that the environment is clean and it is green. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Prince, are you still there? It's World Environment Day 2021. Every June 5th is World Environment Day. World Environment Day is celebrated on June 5th globally, worldwide. The theme for 2021 is ecosystem restoration. Our ecosystem has gone bad. Our ecosystem is not being interesting. We need to restore it and make it good for us to live in, for plants to exist, for human beings and even animals too. We need to make it comfortable for us to dwell in. How are you going to, as a person? Thank you very much. By ensuring that the environment is always clean and that the refuse are not burnt but disposed properly. Thank you, Prince. So you're telling me now that when at home you're going to ensure that your environment is clean. When you're in the school, you ensure that your environment is clean. When you're in the church or in the mosque or in the market, you ensure that your environment, because where you are at a particular time, that is your environment. By ensuring that your environment is always clean and that the refuse are not burned but disposed properly. We can even make money from this waste wealth. We can make money from it. We can make money from the waste by making sure that our environment is green. When our environment is green, too, we can make money. When we plant and ensure that our environment is clean, by the time we harvest what we've planted and you take it to the market, you sell it, you get your profit. And if you want to consume it, you are enjoying yourself. You are not hungry. You have food to eat. Zero hunger is becoming a reality. And when you take this, you enjoy yourself, you look good, you are in good health. We can see all of the SDG goals that are in line with today's celebration. Please, thank you. By ensuring that the environment is always clean and that the refuse are not burnt but disposed properly. Wow, that's nice. I need another one too. Can you tell me how that you're going to implement what you have learned in today? Another way you're going to implement it, like I said the other time, we're not just keeping our environment clean, we are keeping it green. We need to keep our environment green, not just clean alone, but we need to keep it green. We need to keep our environment green. We need to keep it green, and when we keep it green, we enjoy, we eat from it. We have a comfortable environment. If you can hear me clearly, Prince, I would love you to carry out an activity. I would love you to carry out an activity which you would have to submit. I would love you to carry out an activity by ensuring that you keep your environment clean and green. Carry out an activity that shows that you're keeping your environment clean and that you're keeping your environment green. Take a picture of it and send. Do you understand? Like we've learned that for us to keep our environment and enjoy it, we need to make sure that our environment is clean and it is green. So you're going to be carrying out an activity at home or in your school that shows that you're keeping your environment clean and you're keeping it green. You take a picture of it and you send it. Wow, thank you. Scientists can also implement an alternative to curb the increase in disposal of smoke, which releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which is causing the depletion of ozone layer. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Prince. I really appreciate the fact that you're going along with the class and you're able to understand everything you've learned today. Wow. So today's celebration has come to remind us, and let us know how important it is for us to keep our environment clean and green. It is for our own good. It is my responsibility and your responsibility. It is our responsibility, not just one person. It is not the responsibility of one person. I'm sure you will relate this message to mommy and daddy and your siblings at home, because I believe that in doing this at home, once we're used to doing this at home, wherever we find ourselves, we'll be able to implement it. Charity, they say, begins from home. So cleanliness and greeniness too, let it begin from home. Cleanliness and greeniness, let us start it from our home. I'm sure Prince will relate this message to mommy and daddy at home and your siblings and even your friends. Because if it's just you or me alone that is able to do this, our ecosystem will not be fully restored. But if we all can take up the responsibility, if we all can take up the responsibility, if every of the families in our cities and community can take up the responsibility of ensuring that the environment is clean and it is green, then we all will live in a safe world, enjoy ourselves, make zero hunger a reality, good health and well being too will be what we are enjoying. Sustainable cities and communities will all enjoy it around. Climate action, our environment, the climate condition will be conducive for us all. Life on land will be safe. Life on land will be safe, and it is the responsibility of us all, partnership for the goals, to ensure that this is done. It is a responsibility of every citizen. It is a responsibility of each and every one of us, both young and old. It is our responsibility to ensure that our environment is where we are at a particular time, to ensure that our environment is clean and is green. We've come to the end of today's class. Remember to keep your environment clean and remember to keep your environment green always. Always. Not just in celebrating the World Environment Day, but ensure you keep your environment clean and green always. Goodbye. See you some other time.